Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again. And I want to take a little bit of time to share some comments with you and hope that they might be beneficial to us all. You know, I think about this, which is a political season when we have candidates going around the country telling people why they should be chosen as the next president of the United States. They call it the most important job in the world. Well, to me, it's not. But based upon the program that's going on that most of us don't even know anything about, it might be. Might be. But what I really want to talk to you about is our role in this society, and especially when we listen to our political candidates. We have the Republicans stating one point of view, usually conservative, and if you really look down into what they're talking about reclaiming the nation. We don't even know what that means when you say reclaiming the nation. We know one thing, some of the things that have happened in the past, we definitely, as a people, and I'm not just talking about blacks, I'm talking about generally, people do not want to experience those things again. And then we talk about the views of the Democrats. The Democrats' views are basically the same as the Republicans, probably not as choking. The noose around your neck is not as tight, but basically it is the same thing. We're talking about conservatives, we call them. We're talking about liberalism. When you think about the conservatives, especially now when they are speaking and they want to raise themselves up at a high level, they will always interject President Reagan. That Reagan brought something to the game that was outstanding that nobody else has ever measured. And I think about it at that same time when Reagan was president, I was in the United States Navy. But his policies against certain people were so disgusting to me, my protest was to refuse to take orders. To refuse to take orders and get a separation that was other than honorable. As a statement of what this really meant to me and the people who were victims of Reagan's policies. And yet, he is held as in the highest of esteem for some. So how can there be a compromise? How in the world can there be a compromise between Republicans and Democrats? We're talking about Republicans again saying we're going to take back our country. The people who got it right now claim it as their country as well. So we've got these two different views that tell me there's no way to compromise, that this affirms that there will not be peace, not amongst the people. There will not be prosperity, and there will be very little joy and little happiness. You see, your God-fears folks. You have chosen a God with no better vision of priority than that of your own. When I'm speaking about things of this, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying that everybody appears to have a God. And I believe that's the way it should be. Because when you start talking about Christianity, you start talking about these other faiths, and you all get into really the truth of the matter being something that nobody follows. It's just lip service. Nobody pays any attention to them. I have to say that if I had to really represent a God, I would tell you, my friends, I would want to introduce to you the God that I know. And it's not necessarily the God of the Bible. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying that not necessarily. Because based upon what I've been taught, and when you've been taught something, ladies and gentlemen, it sticks. You might not practice it, but it's in you. And if your nation is shaped around what you've been taught, then it's confirmed and it's real to you. But I've seen so much that has been lost, especially when it comes down to black people, when you don't know your history. You don't know where and what you were about in the beginning. All you know is what somebody has taught you. And they taught you that you were nothing. They taught you that you had bones in your ears, bones in your nose, and you had no sense. You were like a lap dog, worse than a dog. I mean, you were taught this. And others were taught this about you, while being taught that they were so dynamic and so supreme. And you had a religion that has justified this, glorified this, and had us spiritually killed. And yet, you create two different kinds of people in the world. You create guys like Dr. Martin Luther King, who sees that things are wrong, that they are not fair, commits his life to make changes, and follows basically the same pattern that Jesus Christ, whether he's real or not. He followed that same path to the cross, and he was slaughtered, as were Jesus Christ. Now on the other extreme, there are people who will not walk that walk. They believe that God, the same God that Dr. King was listening to, or another God, but gave them justification in that they should go to the extreme of letting you know that they were so against what happens in the world that they would rather be out of here. They will kill themselves out of here because they don't care. They're fed up with it. And this is their way of saying it. But to get at you, they will come and go in a crowd and bomb those of you who are there, don't know anything about it. You call yourself innocent, but to them, you're not innocent. You profit, you benefit from their pain and suffering, and so they have no hang-ups whatsoever in taking you with them. Those are what we call terrorists and ISIS. But to terrorists and ISIS, the people who cause their oppression are terrorists. But you got two extremes. You got one man, Dr. King, you got ISIS who will take you out. They say, well, by taking you out, they put fear in you. You don't know what's going to happen. It could be you next. And so that might drive you to take some necessary action, but the action that is always taken is not to agree with you, not to sell whatever grievances you might have, but to get more angry and try to attack you even more. That's the way of the world. Now, can you see any compromise between Dr. King's way and ISIS' way? Well, the truth of the matter is, when you look at them, they are both what? Judged. Dr. King was really killed because of what he stood for. The terrorists and the attack and war on terrorism is for what they do. So they are both being judged as got to get out of here. And in the middle, there is no change. Everything still remains the same. So is there possibly a compromise? I don't know. I do know this, that there is a God. I don't know it. I renounce all religions. Why? Because the one I'm familiar with is just as corrupt as can possibly be, and I cannot imagine any others being anything other than corrupt as well. But I do know something that's not corrupt, and that's you listening to your maker. Not to a Republican or Democrat or capitalist or communist, but listening to your maker. Your maker is the one that's created you. Your maker, whether you know it or not, is the one that sustains you. And your maker will be the one that keeps you. To get this peace and this prosperity and joy that has been promised to those who follow the works and the dictates of the maker can be received by people individually. It won't come in the form of you having a nice home. Maybe you won't even have the education that you want. The health care, you might be denied. All of these things are having a nice car, being able to travel, being able to see your friends, being able to go to funerals or family reunions. You might be denied all of these things because the world is set up to allow these things to happen to people that it controls. And to be born again, to really know the truth, you know what's going on out there, and you reborn back into the spirit way of doing things. And in it, your maker can provide to you the peace that no man can give you, can provide to you the prosperity. Even though, you see, I say this to you, ladies and gentlemen, because there were times when my life was supposed to leave. Not just once, but many times. And each time it didn't. And I knew it was a divine act. But I also know that to whom much is given, much is required. I got a testimony that people who have never experienced that can never tell. Not only tell, but one that I can be committed to because I've seen the hands in work. I've seen the hands at work. And I have knowledge. Not faith, but knowledge. And so I can speak that to you. I have the kind of faith that have permitted me to love you in spite of all that you have been taught, in spite of all of the ignorance that we have accepted into our lives because we didn't know any better. I can speak to you and tell you that I have broken these laws, what we call the people, laws of the people of the state. I've broken them as a means to try to wake you up. I failed waking you up. I broke the laws, and it showed me something about my maker.